Good evening, everybody. It is Saturday, May 16th. It's Kim Ochelli on the Jaded Roundtable. Almost forgot the name of my show. Oh, it's 10 o'clock over here on the East Coast, and you got 9, 8, 7, respectively. If you want to call in, it's 718-717-8296. Hope everybody had a good week. I determined today that I need to become an octopus to keep up with our son. Oh, my goodness. I forgot how quick they can move once they learn how to walk. He's everywhere. But now, just my quick, Frankie story that I do once a week. And if you don't like it, then turn it off for a minute. When I go in the room to get him in the morning, he now says mama. And he says dada. And now he's starting to babble, which I think is really cute. How quickly they learn from the time they're born, how much they learn, and how fast they do. Speaking of babies, I had a interesting, I wouldn't call it an argument, but a back and forth with somebody I don't really even know on a post on Facebook. Somebody posted how poisonous vaccines are. And as you all know, I have 2 adopted children out of foster care that are adopted now. They're my children. And my son, at the time, was baby. And the only shot he had gotten was the Hep shot from the hospital. And his mom was very young, and she didn't know any better. Well, she probably did know better because she didn't do the shots. But they ended up taking my son and his sister away because my son was born at 8.5 pounds, and when I got him at 9 months old, he only weighed 12 pounds. So, moving along quickly, being that I wasn't his parent, I couldn't refuse the vaccinations. So when he went to the doctor, they gave him 6 shots at one time, 3 in each leg. And I'm telling you, within a week, that's when I noticed the fade in his eyes, the light just kind of dim. So I had made the comment about how Francis is vax-free, and you can see the sparkle in his eyes. And apparently this woman has an autistic child, and I offended her because I was insinuating that all children who are autistic have no sparkle in their eyes, and that's not what I was saying. I was just simply saying that he has not been poisoned by the vaccines, and he won't be, and you can see a difference in their eyes. I'm sorry if anybody disagrees. That's my opinion, and that's what I've observed. And right. Francis has been very healthy. He has not been to any well visits. He's gotten a cold. He has a little bit, I think maybe a stomach bug, or he's teething, maybe both. But he's as healthy as a horse, for crying out loud.
Likely he's teething. When they get the diarrhea like that, he's probably teething.
Right.
And that whole thing was that all you said on that post was that, my son's not vaccinated and has a sparkle, has a I don't know if he said sparkle. What was the word you used?
I said the light in his eyes is as bright as the sunshine.
Right. There's a brightness or a light in his eyes, you said. And this lady, of course, had to take, had to take it to, well, that means, I guess, my kid has a light in their eyes, too, even though they're vaccine damaged, and I've gotten them through this and that, and, kind of how dare you, say that my autistic child doesn't have a light in their eyes, and it's like...
Well, she went on and on to tell me that, she worked hard with him, and he, graduated high school, and now he's 23. And
right, and that's all good.
But, here's my stance on all of these different diagnoses that they're giving children. Okay, there is such a thing as autism. I'll go, I agree with that. However, when they're in school and they're constantly making excuses for, not all parents do, but when I worked in the school, and plus my own son is on the spectrum, but I believe, again, that that's due to vaccine injury. However, past that point, once they get out into the real world and they're grown up and they're working, nobody gives a good goddamn what your diagnosis is. If you're expected to be at work at 9 o'clock, then you're expected to be there. So you need to teach these children who do have issues that that doesn't automatically come with an excuse card in your pocket.
Well, see, but that's where it gets to the problem, right? Because first off, there are kids being diagnosed with disorders who are just lively. That's the first problem.
Yeah.
The second problem is that it's not a matter of, that this kid is any less of a human being because they got, the problems they got or whatever
Right.
else. That isn't what you were saying. And that's how she took it because she's defensive and she's an idiot. Okay,
Well,
bottom
yeah.
line. But the other thing is let's put that aside for a moment. What the real problem, as far as these kids and being made, exceptions being made for them and all that, is that there's a good way to handle somebody who's a little different. You teach them a little different, but to sort of impress upon these kids that they're ever after going to be coddled.
Right.
Is the problem. And it's not, oh, you're such a victim because you have a learning disability.
Well, I mean, I think that's bullshit. Because
that's the problem.
Oh, it
though.
is the problem. Absolutely, it's the problem.
But it's not even the kids' fault.
No, they're learning by
they're
example.
learning what they're being fed.
Right.
And the parents are at fault to some degree because they're allowing that shit. They need to tell them, look, you know what? You got to adapt and overcome. Adapt and overcome. Okay, you're different, fine. Adapt and overcome.
But everybody's different, so you know what?
Right, and that should be the general message for any of them. Adapt and overcome. Period.
Right. I mean,
not, I'll accommodate you every which way. See, that's the problem with the convoluted logic, is you take somebody who's in a wheelchair, you take somebody who's poorly sighted, and you've got to make certain allowances for them.
Yes,
you don't. You can't fail the kid in gym class who's in a wheelchair because he can't climb a rope. It's just not going to work.
Well, personally, this is why I don't agree with the public schooling, is because it's standardized learning, and I think each child learns differently. I will tell you right now that Francis is as strong-willed as I am and you are. So, I mean, we're fucked. First of all. Secondly, I don't agree with these standardized testings. I don't agree with the public school system's curriculum to begin with. So I think that a child that has these issues does need certain considerations, yes, but I don't think they need, like I said, the excuse card in the back pocket. Whoop, let me pull out this card because I have this problem, so I can be excused for being responsible. I mean, you know that my son was on medication because I didn't know any better at the time. Mm-hmm. Like most people know that I'm learning all these things quickly, but I'm new to a lot of it. And I took him off of that medication, quite a few years ago, and he had to learn how to take responsibility for his actions. He had to learn how to control his impulse because he had no impulse control. You can't just decide you're going to punch the girl in the face because, she looked at you crooked. That's unacceptable behavior.
Yeah, well, I don't know anybody who was born awake, so, you need to stop making that, qualification. Well, I'm new to this. It doesn't matter.
Well, no, I'm just saying, because I'll stand here and, stomp my feet about, non-vaxxing, even though my other children were all vaxxed.
Well, right. I mean, At least
I opened my eyes.
Yeah, and I got the first two that I had that, they got all their shots,
Yeah. My oldest even got that Gardasil because I didn't know any better. You have the doctors fear-mongering, oh my God, she could get... And of course you want to protect your child. Oh, okay, well maybe I better do this.
Well, yeah, and that's why I talked about the appeal to authority earlier and how, simply because they're the authority that, sounds good to you at the time doesn't necessarily mean they're correct, either way. And of course, like I said, I don't know anybody who was actually born awake and just lived their whole life awake.
No, if there is somebody like that, I'd like to meet them.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's what we're making with our son.
I hope so, But it's the younger generations that we need to try to wake up earlier than their 30s and 40s. You need to see now for what now is.
Right.
You know.
Listen, I got to step away for a minute anyway.
Oh, yeah, no, I was going to talk about the Amtrak train real quick, too.
All right, well, why don't you do that, and I'll put up the chat room for you there, and you can see it.
Oh, it's in there. Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Hey, Hopper.
You want to do your romper room? Go ahead, but I'm a little moody about the chat room right now, so
Well,
that's up to you.
I'll
You
say
go right
hello
ahead.
to my few friends in there, like Hopper
There you go.
and Mrs. Hopper. I think Jane's in there, too, and Vince. So I hope you guys had a good week. But anyway, I wanted to bring up real quick about that Amtrak thing. I don't know if anybody, I'm sure people paid attention, but supposedly, now they're saying that the train was shot at. And I was kind of a little bit following the story, not too much because I was real busy the last couple of days. But I'm wondering if that's just a cover up for Amtrak's. Maybe there was some brake failure, or I don't know anything about trains, but the accelerator button, whatever, however you engineer a train, I haven't the foggiest idea. But I'm wondering if they're using this as a cover up for some sort of mechanical problem, because that's going to be one hell of a lawsuit with I think it was 8 people who died and 200 injured. That's going to be mighty messy if push come to shove that it was the engineer's error. But from what I understand, he's covered under some sort of federal employees something or other, so he's not liable. So Amtrak would, ultimately be liable. But if they were shot at, which I don't understand that either, how would that really make the train go any faster if they're shot at, unless the guy's like ducking or something, the engineer? I don't know. But if anybody saw the pictures of that was a horrific disaster, and I feel really bad for the people on that train. I can't imagine. I can't imagine being in that circumstance, having people's bodies fly on top of me and whatnot. Um, so anyway, that was another thing that I saw, and I don't know what anybody else's thought is about that. Um, Hi, Jane. I wanted to thank you again for asking how Francis was. That means a lot to me when people who don't even know him are concerned with him and ask how he's doing. Makes me feel really good, especially these past few weeks. Um, anyway, let's see what else is up there. Oh, I did find this website. It was actually on Facebook about police misconduct, and it's called policemisconduct.net. And I have to leave the chat room for a minute, guys, to look at this. But there's it's a website called National Police Misconduct Reporting Project, and it talks about all different areas in the country of obviously police misconduct, but some of them are kind of messed up. Like here in this is just 14 reports of police misconduct for Thursday, May 14th, which was the day before yesterday. There's 14 of them that have been reported. One of them is in Sarasota, Florida. A man died after a traffic stop where he was tased and struck several times with a flashlight. Use of force was not mentioned in the initial police report. A subsequent news account indicates that 37 seconds after the ambulance was called for the man, an officer called off medical treatment, saying he's had a miraculous recovery. 3 officers have been placed on leave. Now, I'm sure they're placed on paid leave, which personally I think that's bullshit, but, what are you going to do about that? Then in Texas, in San Antonio, there was another officer arrested for theft, second time in 8 days. A New York officer was arrested on drug and paraphernalia charges.
Did you happen to name the website you're getting this
from? Yeah, I did.
Okay, I didn't. Just came back. So
no, that's okay. Yeah, I did, in case anybody's interested in looking at it.
Plus, they got a Facebook page if you do the Facebook thing.
Oh, okay. I think, that's where I got it from. Did I just unplug myself?
I don't know.
Huh.
Your microphone's plugged in.
Okay. Well, then I'm
Can
good.
you hear all right?
I don't know.
Nobody's called in either, huh?
No, that's fine.
All right. 718-717-8296, or if you're on the Charles.Ochelli space Ochelli Skype list,
I can
there
talk
you
to
go.
myself for hours.
All right, cool. So
As
I
I
can go
do.
lay
I
down then.
do that. No.
Yeah, I can go lay down.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I can.
Hey. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
let's see. Any other interesting ones in here? Some of them are like, wow, that's kind of wrong. Oh, well, let's see. A former deputy in Orange County, Florida, was arrested on child pornography charges. That's lovely. We got, the usual tax evasion. A former in Prince George County, Maryland, a now former officer was convicted of assault and endangerment charges for striking a student at the school where he served as SRO. What's that? It's an SRO. Like a
It's
security?
probably a security something officer.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't recall if you were in a rough high school when you were in high school, but if you're in a rougher high school, yes, you have security guards and stuff.
Well, they even have security guards now where we used to live
Yeah, but
in Lacey.
I mean, back in the day there were more security guards only in the urban schools. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Well, I went to Morristown High School. There was uh, a nice mix of ethnicities in that school, which I liked because you know.
In Neptune High School, we had a couple of security guards, and only one of them actually had a concealed carry, and
Oh wow.
had a gun on him.
Oh boy.
But
I don't recall actually if because like I said I only went there for 2 years, so I don't really know.
post Columbine, they brought in more metal detectors and shit.
Do you think that was real? Like I mean, I know
Oh,
kids kind
come
of.
on!
No. I'm saying, did they?
Are you gonna tell me that you're buying into that was crisis actors and that wasn't
No,
real?
no, no.
Come on.
But was that the initial where they used the initial excuse to start having more security in schools, so it's more like a prison type thing?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, there was. I've said this on the air before, and people bitch, but whatever. There was lots of incidences of school shootings that didn't make national news. Where you had multiple casualties, you had individuals getting shot, but usually the truth was, who cares? It's just in the black schools, just in the Mexican schools, just in the inner city schools where it's dangerous anyway. But once that hit, pretty much white bread America, then it was time to step up and begin the process of now we have them, with lockdown drills and everything else.
Oh yeah, well,
So, but I know that situation was real because back then I was a tape trader, and like I said to you, I was one of those people that got, I got my copy of the Columbine security cameras, pretty much the same time the news networks did, except mine was uncut.
right, right.
It was just one of those things.
Well, I don't like confrontation.
Mm.
I will avoid it if I can. Certain circumstances, I won't avoid confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
You fuck with my children, that's all. My family, my personal little pod, no, we don't go there. But in general, with like a stranger, I try not to get into a confrontation just because my adrenaline gets pumping so fast that I start to shake and I can't control it.
Yeah, it really depends on your mood,
And it
though.
makes me,
Your level of desiring confrontation, from my observation, is that you, depending on your mood, you might be willing to, go calling a woman the c word over taking your parking space, depending on your mood. But most times, no. But sometimes they catch you on the wrong day. Who knows?
Well, I think that goes for anybody, really. But, gee, now I don't even remember why I was going into that conversation, to be honest with you.
What? Well, you were talking about your
Oh,
reaction.
bullies. That's
Yeah.
right. Thank you. See, I. Anyway, I think that sometimes I don't condone the shooting up of all kinds of kids in school, but sometimes the bully just needs a good swift ass kicking, you know. And I feel bad for these kids that hang themselves or kill themselves in one way or another because they've been just harassed so horribly
Mm-hmm.
that they don't feel there's another way out.
You tying that back to the Columbine thing, and
I'm tying it to whatever, however, wherever you want to tie it to.
mm-hmm.
I don't see the need for being a bully, and I think a lot of that too is again the parents' fault. You need to pay attention to what they're doing, and you know if your kid's a little prick or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they can change that behavior, from home to school, and you can tell by the friends they hang around with as well, you know. And um, I think more has to be acknowledged about that because that's a problem too, in my opinion.
No, I know. It's just it's one of those things, though. You get lost in it. It
Well, it just kind of gets swallowed by everything else that's going on.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
was just wondering if they were tying it back to the Columbine thing because, the allegation was that they were picked on and all that kind of stuff, and then the trench coat mafia theme came out in the mainstream and, sort of told their story about how they were, rebellious, whatever, and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it
Um,
seems to be more. I don't think I've ever read or heard a story about a girl doing that. It's always boys. I guess because girls self-inflict harm. They don't
right. A
they don't
lot of
expel it
those,
outward.
yeah, a lot of those bully suicide things are often females because depression is obviously rage turned inward, and you know, women are better at consolidating their rage, I guess, than guys are. Guys just sort of blow it out, and there you go. That's why they tend to wind up being the ones that are the shooters as opposed to the ones that hang themselves.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I don't know. That's why I don't want Francis going to public school. I really don't.
Well, what? Because of the
I
shootings of
Well, no, no,
violence,
no,
or
no. One, basically the curriculum is the main reason, but
well, that's not fair to say either. Because if the curriculum was great, but the violence was still there, I mean, I think you'd still be reticent about sending them. You
well,
know.
yeah, I wouldn't want to send him to school with my knife in his pocket. Here, take Mama's knife and use it if you need to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, especially in this day and age. You might up getting sued and all that. I mean, uh, when I was growing up, I mean, kids occasionally would, hit each other with rocks or bats, or every once in a while somebody take a steak knife out of the house, come on outside and cut another kid. I mean, that was
Right.
commonplace stuff.
Well, now they have.
Now you get sued and
Well, there's so
CPS
many
gets
other.
called, and
Right. Well, there's so many other outlets too uh, for bullies to do their job. You have the internet, and they cyberbully, and like a kid that's being bullied really doesn't have where are they going to escape it?
that's why you don't escape. You deal with it, and cyberbullying is. Well, that's sort of by consent in a lot of cases because, you allow yourself to be in a situation or whatever. And by choice, you wind up, interacting with people that you really wouldn't want to interact with in real life, and
But I think if
you have choices there.
the child
So,
goes home, that should be their safe haven.
yeah, but, you only have the safe haven that you build for yourself. You know, that's what it comes down
Well,
to.
no. How is a child going to build their own safe haven? That should be provided by their
Well, that's their
parents.
parents'
Parents.
responsibility.
That's what
But
I mean.
I'm saying the lesson there, though, is that they still have to, from their standpoint, develop their own safe zone, you know, and they have to learn how to make it a safe zone for themselves. Parents can't handle all their social interactions for them and such.
Well, no, they need to.
So,
Yes, they absolutely need to be taught how to handle conflict and deal with it appropriately.
right.
Um, but again, I'm not here to preach parenting because Lord knows I made my share of mistakes. That's for damn sure, and I'm sure I make at least a few every day. With Francis.
Mm.
But it is what it is. I don't really know. I don't have a whole lot to talk about while he's up all night again because little boy has decided that he does not need to sleep at night. He's become a little vampire.
Between that and my migraines, we're having lots of fun. So, you know,
Yeah, you're not feeling good, are you?
no, not really.
Oh, well, if I could, just hang up, I would, but I
Well,
don't have anything to talk about
you
by
don't want to hang
myself,
up
and
on the show, of course.
nobody
No.
wants to call and talk to me and,
Yeah, well,
give me a suggestion in the
maybe
chat room,
maybe
so,
that's my fault since I suck
you
so
know
much.
what?
I don't
I
want to
don't give
talk to
a
you.
fuck. How's that?
Whatever's whatever, right? But here we are. So 718-717-8296. If you want to actually make it a round table, or you just want to listen to her and I talk, that's up to you, I guess.
But I was talking before about the train. I heard in some reports about supposedly it got shot upon. So I was wondering if maybe perhaps that was a cover up for Amtrak, like they had some sort of equipment malfunction, and they can easily excuse that. Oh, that wasn't our fault because the
I've purposely avoided that story so far because I'm just waiting for the prerequisite. Usually there's, a drunk or high, train driver or something, and that's usually what comes up next, you know?
well, the engineer said he doesn't remember the accident.
Well,
So
yeah.
I don't think I would remember it. I just went 106 miles an hour around this turn that you're only supposed to do 50.
Well, there's often convenient amnesia that happens, yeah, but, usually the personal lives get called into question, and that's part of the typical drama, like how we had to hear all about the deep psychology of the co-pilot for the German airliner for weeks on end.
Oh, it's still going on, actually. But what's funny is every time
and the,
there's some kind of accident like that,
right.
and everybody is dead,
Mm-hmm.
they always blame the pilot.
Well, yeah, it's kind of makes sense, but, how long did we have to hear about the disappeared plane and the pilot and his possible agenda and what he had in his, his simulator and what his religious beliefs were, and, was he actually anti-government, and was he actually a good pilot, and all that other good stuff too, right? I mean, it's the same kind of story over and over again, and it just, to be honest with you, I just find it boring. It's going to be the same thing, and it comes down to a whole lot of rubbernecking at unfortunate incidents that probably don't have anything to do with anything unless you were personally connected to it. You know, there you go. It's not really going to change train safety, whether it was failed equipment or it was a stone driver or whatever else. It's right.
Well, yeah, well, they were talking about putting some kind of like remote device on all the trains now.
No, see, that's the only thing that's interesting is that in a lot of cases people get down to, well, why don't we just automate this and that and the third thing, and we'll turn it over to the computers or eventually the artificial intelligence that'll drive the damn thing, and then one day, rise of the machines.
Well, I
Yada,
know
yada.
that some cars are like that now.
Well, right, there's cars that'll turn around and
They'll
park for
parallel
you
park
or
for you.
whatever. Yeah,
What?
it'll be, it'll be some years before we get one of those used, so we'll get it around the time that the thing's, about defective and ready to blow.
But I don't need a car to drive for me. I can do it.
Yeah, but if they make them all like that, what are you going to do?
Oh, I don't know. Ride a bicycle.
I'll tell you what. I'd love to see you have to go back and forth on a bicycle.
Why?
I don't. I just find that idea amusing for some reason.
How so?
Because I've never seen you on a bicycle.
Because I don't have one.
Still, I never saw you on a bicycle. You had access to bicycles. And never...
What am I gonna ride my daughter's pink 10-speed down the
Well,
road?
I don't know what what M had. I mean,
with a little bell, ding-a-ling-a-ling.
she must have had a larger bike. I'm not talking about go out and grab one of the kids' tricycles. And just saying, I have a hard time picturing you on a bicycle.
Oh, well, I used to ride a bicycle all the time
When?
when I was a kid.
Okay. Kid could be a lot of things. I've seen teenagers on bicycles, and I've seen little kids on bicycles. What are we talking about?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, I had a really cool 10-speed.
You did?
I did. I was cool that way.
Of course you were.
It was maroon. I liked it a lot. It was my transportation. Back and forth to the game room where I could spend hours on like 2 quarters playing Centipede.
Arcades, yeah.
Yeah,
So.
the arcades and well, what is that thing called that plays music? Oh, jukebox.
Yeah, jukebox.
Yeah, they had one of them, and they had a snack bar too, where you can get like hot dogs and pretzels and whatnot. It was a cool place. There was a lot of trouble there, but
well, of course, because the only successful arcade when we lived through the whole thing, so arcades rose up and they were actually fairly decent business model and all that. And you could do it by having these snacks and whatever else extras in it. Right. I actually very early on as a musician played arcades and stuff like that, so you could go in there with your band and they charge a little extra money and whatever. And,
where was that?
Well, let's see. I played in Tinton Falls in an arcade. Let me think here. There was one in Sayreville, I think, I played in.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
They had arcades that had bands in them. Cause I only went to bars that had bands in them.
Well, I understand, but I played enough, as a kid. I mean, I played I played anywhere that they would, set up a venue for me and hopefully pay me. So I mean, I played pizza places and everything, at one point.
Oh, wow.
Like, there was this, something typical pizza place name. I can't remember it now, but it was something like, Tony's or something ridiculous.
Luigi's.
No, not even like that. Like real common. Like Tony's or,
Right.
Or something like that. Anyways, I
think...
No, it was... But anyway...
The other time, on one of the shows, we were talking about how the Mexicans are making the pizza. So you can just name it Paco's.
But because there's a real place. There's a couple of them in Jersey City, especially. There's a few of them. But I mean, I've seen it other places where they got like, literally black dudes making egg rolls, and then in the same place they got Mexican food, but the Mexican food is like being made by like I don't know, freaking Filipino dudes, and you're like
by a white girl like me,
real confused, and then. And then the delivery guy's Italian. It's like, okay, what, it's not like
this
ethnic
is backwards.
Food. Yeah, but it's not ethnic food being made by, remember the one town we lived in where every once in a while the Chinese guy would hire, like, a white girl or a white guy to work delivery a couple days.
What was the name of that place?
New China Cafe.
Oh, that's right.
Or new China, something like that. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know which one, over there in Eric Plaza. Yeah.
Right. And they would every once in a while hire some kid, for not like a full-time job, but like 1 or 2 days a week. And they always sent that kid to deliver food.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So it would be weird, you got, you talk to the obnoxious kid that grew up in that restaurant. What do you want?
Oh, that kid was
What do you want, food?
I wanted to poke him in the eye.
Number 5, number 4. Which one?
What do you want?
Which one? What do you want?
You call up and you try to place an order, and you'd say, hi, I'd like to place an order. You'd be like, what do you want? I'm like, wow.
What do you want? 4 or 5? Well, I want a
Come here, you rude little prick.
Well, which one? 4 or 5?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And on 0050 or 005, whatever, has a pizza place called Abdullah's.
Yeah, I believe that. You know, it's
And they said, pass on that pie, yeah, no doubt.
yeah, no, you know, like those really really ignorant white people up in Connecticut who are just like, you know, past white. They were like, oh look, we have a really good pizza restaurant. The Greeks make great pizza, and I'm like,
Well,
it,
they think Little Caesars is a good pizza place.
no, that's down here. Pizza Hut's
There's
all right.
there is no good pizza place
Ooh.
down here, or I have not yet to find a good Chinese food place.
Well,
I like Chinese food.
let's be honest. If you were a
Okay.
Chinese guy, would you want to live around here? You know, come on.
No, probably not.
All right then. You know.
But there's Chinese food restaurants everywhere you go.
No, I
They gotta
know.
live somewhere.
No, I know that, but you know what? You'll find them typically more in uh, uh, city areas that have diverse populations. See, Jersey's an aberration because it's kind of like a continuation of New York City. So, you know, every town's got three, four pizza joints. Every town's got, you know, a couple of Chinese joints. It's just the way it is. You
Right.
know, and it's also population dense. So
Right.
takeout places or, you know, restaurants like that that are delivery joints are, you know, they're better off in dense populated areas. You know, when you got people spread out, it's counterproductive because you got a long way to go to take it out to Haas's farm to bring him his egg foo young.
Yeah,
You
no
know,
doubt.
and
That's true.
Chinese food's always cheap too. So you know, you got a $5 freaking order, and with the price of gas the way it was over the past few years,
Well,
I
it's
mean,
going up again.
of course it is. It's going to skyrocket all the way up to that, you know, presidential selection. And
Hmm.
one of the talking points of, you know, most likely Jebby will be, you know, I'm going to drop the oil price for you somehow.
Oh, what a sport.
You know, so my family, you know, my
Thanks there,
family
buddy.
will make, you know, $1 billion this year instead of $2 billion.
Right. That's not going to happen.
Oh, maybe.
The other thing that they don't have down south, which is why I miss being up north,
Hmm.
I guess I'm a true Yankee at heart.
Yeah, well, you know,
Pork roll.
they got to have it
No,
somewhere.
they don't. I'm telling you, they don't have pork roll.
And you know, when it comes to
I know
Yankees,
it's no good for you.
and when it comes to Yankees, I'm actually more of a Mets fan.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So. Uh huh.
they don't have that down here either. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, why don't you have that down here? What's the other thing we noticed that they don't have? Oh, veal. Because when down here, if it's barbecue, it's automatically, which I learned.
Hon, we're in a truly poor neighborhood. Veal just is not a high priority item at the food store in the truly poor neighborhood. That's all that is. I bet you in a nicer neighborhood, there's plenty of veal to be had.
Plenty of veal to be had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where was I going with that story now? I don't recall.
Well, you were saying that you know, the things that we don't have down south. That
Dunkin'
we have up north.
Donuts.
Well, they have them here and there.
They're far and few between.
That's the thing, though. Like I said, they're more closely clumped together and everything. I mean, for God's sake, we lived in, you know, towns with 3 of the same store, you know, because of the population density. I mean, literally, there was what 3 7-Elevens in Forked River, right?
Yeah, there was. You're right.
You know,
And
and
that one got robbed. So did the ice cream parlor.
a bunch of them got robbed.
No, just recently.
Oh, recently got
Yeah.
robbed? Yeah. Which
And
one? The one,
the one in where Medicine to Go was in that plaza.
oh, that one. Yeah, well.
Yep, that one got robbed.
Well,
and
that's
then,
because that guy's such a genius that he's, you know, got to make sure he saves money by always having one person on for, you know, 10 hours of the day. So, you know, you got one person sitting there with cash, you're going to get robbed now.
Isn't that against the law to
No,
I would think it would be.
no, that was like a municipal law in some parts of Jersey where you had to have an extra person there. But
Maybe not a law, but I would think like maybe company policy because we don't need laws to protect ourselves.
No, see, that's my point about the change in corporate culture and business culture is that it became extremely hostile to the safety and consideration of the worker in our lifetime because there was a time when, you know, a corporation like Southland would have been more interested in making sure that they didn't, have fingers pointed at them when, some minimum wage schlub got killed.
Right.
But nowadays it's like, well, there's only going to be so many of them killed, and think about all the man hours that we can save by not, making our what do you call it, franchise holders actually keep extra people on. I mean, gee, they save whole paychecks.
You know, you just reminded me of something I was watching on YouTube. Um, Michael Moore did the Fahrenheit 9/11,
Yeah,
but then he did another one. And I don't remember the name of it. I don't know if it was before the
he's
9/11
he's
or.
done a bunch of movies. Some which
But
was
he was talking to a couple of families that their loved one, like one of them was a woman that was real young. She was like 24, and she worked at Walmart,
mm-hmm.
and she died like suddenly. She got real sick, or I don't recall the circumstances behind her death.
You're talking about Sicko because that's the one with where they focus on healthcare insurance policies, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that the Walmart takes out life insurance policies on their employees, and
Yeah,
they.
not all of them, but not all employees have an insurance policy on them. But yeah, believe it or not, there's a bunch of companies, a bunch of these corporations that actually will sit there and bet on your death. Yeah, sure.
And I felt horrible because the husband is left behind with the children,
Right,
and an ass load of medical bills.
right.
But Walmart collected $85,000 because this poor woman died.
Right.
And then another woman, her husband worked at I don't recall where, but his life insurance policy was like $2 million.
Well, that's the problem is that, it's fully legal for a corporation to do stuff like that because the attitude is that this is the big danger. This is why I ran about the greater corporation and the fact that we're living in a fascist situation at this point is so dangerous. Is that, look, think about this for a minute. It is now in the great corporation's best interest, to when they need a little cash or they want a little cash injection, or over time, listen, if they work people to death and they don't give them the kind of pay rate that'll allow them to have a decent quality of life, well, that's no big deal. Actually, that's double profit because they can get pretty much reimbursed for a couple of years worth of their salary. Think about it. If somebody's making $20,000 a year at Walmart, right?
Yeah.
And, you work them to death for 4 years, gee, and you got a $100,000 policy on them, you just made a profit of 20 grand. So you get to profit off of this worker, work them, and really never get to pay, never actually pay for them because you get reimbursed. If you paid them $20,000 a year over 4 years, and you've got 80 grand that you laid out, you get 100 grand back.
Right.
So you made $20,000 and on your investment, plus you were fully reimbursed.
That's just awful.
Isn't that lovely?
No, I think that's pretty fucked up.
Nice and legal.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
And now this man is, looking at losing his home.
Well, of course, his wife was working at Walmart. What did they have to save? Do you think they had any medical insurance? Or if they did, do you think it paid for a damn thing?
Well, no, because like I said, he had,
there you go.
upwards of $100,000. She like slipped into a coma or something. And she was obviously in the hospital for a while.
Hey, you notice how the chat room stopped moving when I started talking again?
I don't care.
Did are we on air? Or, I mean...
I don't know.
Yeah, I think we are.
So,
I think we are.
like I said, I'm pretty well done. But, anyway,
No, I find that fascinating that you can profit on the death of somebody and all that.
and the woman, her husband, she had 2 small children with him.
Right.
And, she's in all kinds of financial distress. And these companies collect all this money. It's like, how dare you?
Mm-hmm.
This woman not only just, going through the trauma of, losing your husband or wife, whichever the case may be. But then you come to find out that the company he worked for just made a profit off of his death. And you're struggling to survive.
No, I know it. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, so.
Hey, how many of those cop stories did you get through anyway?
Well, the ones that were kind of interesting, like the guy that the cop called away called away the ambulance and said, "Oh, he miraculously recovered and then he's dead." And I think I saw another story. It was a young woman. She was like 18, died in police custody, but I didn't get to read about that. Like I said, I really haven't had the time the last couple of days to even
Well, let's take a look at that.
do anything. There was only like 14 stories.
Well, almost every day. I mean, every couple of days for sure. He always,
What's that?
punches something in.
Oh, this one person that's doing this?
Yeah, this is one. I'm not sure if it's one guy or if it's just a small group, but it's like it's one little organization that's just collecting across the board all of the stuff.
You know what I find scary?
This is the one Maria Heller mentioned to me on my show.
Right, but
because I said every week there's an incident of a cop killing somebody.
Oh yeah.
And she corrected me and said every day. And
Oh
I
yeah.
said, really, I don't see it every day. And she said, well, you got to look at this website. So that's how I got it, and then I passed it to you.
Well, you know how many letters I got from different attorneys because of my ticket for the driving on the revoked list or whatever?
Oh, I don't know, 4 or 5 so far?
Yeah. It's like, wow, do they like contact the police department every day and get a list of...
I find it kind of funny because, why... Who made the money for disseminating that list? I wonder about that. Is it, does the town... I've heard of instances where towns will sell lists of stuff like that.
Oh.
Kind of funny, but I don't know if this town does that. I've never investigated it, so I can't allege it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's like, well, you look at that. And then my other argument, which I'm going to go in and say that I'm going to plead not guilty, but anyway, the cop said to me, well, you have to get your license changed within, I think it was 90 days or something like that. Now, you have a lot of people that live, somewhere for 6 months and then they go somewhere else for 6 months. So every time they go back and forth, they have to change their license. So, like, I could very easily say that I go to New Jersey, for 3 weeks every couple of months. And that's where, I have dual residency in
Yeah, that's a possibility, but I don't know. I don't know how you handle that, really.
It was just one of those, pondering questions that I have in the middle of the night, like,
I got you. It's just one of those things that's out of my realm since I never had a driver's license. And I'm not paranoid, by the way, Jane. I'm disgusted is what I am, not paranoid. There's a difference.
How much more time do I have to do this?
I don't know. What time is it?
10 to 11.
10 to 11. You got an hour and 10.
Yeah.
So, anybody want to call in? 718-717-8296. All right, there you go.
Oh, my neighbor said something to me that was pretty funny when I went over to feed him, our neighbor Bud.
Oh, yeah, what did he say?
At 8 o'clock. Sometimes he comes out with some funny shit for an older man. He's 87. And we were talking about the dentists. And he looked at me with a straight, dead-on face and said, doctors and dentists are not going to go to heaven for what they do to the patients.
Yeah, that's one of those pearls of wisdom things.
Yeah, I said, yeah, and lawyers too, but he said, yep, lawyers too.
Yep.
And sometimes he just comes out with a really funny comment, like the male nurse has as much business being a nurse as he does being an airline pilot.
Which is funny.
It is funny.
Yeah, it's definitely funny.
He comes out with these little, wisecrack remarks every now and again, and out of nowhere, they just, pop into his head, and I guess that's the right you have when you're 87 years old. Mm. You can say what you want, and it doesn't matter, because you've earned that right.
I'm trying to think. There was some sort of story he wanted to tell tonight, and I can't remember what it was.
got me swinging by it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to remember what it was. Was it something about Frankie or?
No, I did that.
No, you sort of did, but I mean, you gave a general thing, but I thought there was some specific story you wanted to tell.
I don't recall.
Yeah, me neither.
I really don't remember what it was.
Mm.
Oh, um, our we have, like most people know that, we really kind of don't belong in this neighborhood. Although I hate to say that because I think that people of all different races and religions can live happily and peacefully. So we have these. I take Francis for a walk every day. Um, what is that comment? Whatever.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah.
They got, Chance and her daughter. They've taken a real liking to Francis, and I take them for a walk every day, and they always say hi. Well, they called me today, and even though I don't. Well, yeah, I do. I'm pagan,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know that. They called me while you were on the radio and asked me to go to church with them tomorrow.
Church. Oh, yeah, it is Sunday tomorrow.
I just thought that was really very nice. I mean, I'll be the only white person there, for one, and a non-believer. I don't follow the, Southern Baptist.
Yeah, right.
But I just thought, you know what, that was really very nice. They've kind of like taken us under their wing and, showed us.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind going to church with them if it wasn't for Frankie, because, I don't know if they got a daycare thing or whatever, or Sunday school, you know.
Well, he's too little for Sunday school.
Well, no, but sometimes they have, like, I used to take, when I got visits with Charlie at first, I used to take him, let him, there's like a playroom, there's a Sunday school for the older kids, and then there's like a playroom for the little ones.
Mm.
And, when me and Patty split up, I mean, he was what, 2? So, or not even 2 yet, but.
So it's just like a little area for them to play in.
Yeah, like, a couple of volunteers go down there and, watch it's like the baby room, where.
Oh, I don't know, but I can't, I had to decline their invitation because I have to take care of Bud at noontime and, wouldn't be back until almost 2 o'clock. But I just thought that was really very nice.
Well, if you really wanted to, I mean, or if you want to, I mean, I could always take care of them at noon, I mean.
Well, yeah, but I just,
No, I got you.
I just thought that was a very nice gesture that,
Mm-hmm.
they made because, the neighbors around here, you don't really see much of them, and they're not all nice, but I thought that was a very nice gesture.
Totally understandable. Gave me another book too, I saw.
No, they gave me 3.
Oh, they gave you 3 books.
Yeah.
Oh, I only saw the 1 book.
I got 3. But I always feel very uncomfortable when I go into a church. I don't feel right.
The power of Christ doesn't quite compel you, huh?
No.
Mm.
I almost feel like my feet are on fire.
Well, see, that's the old programming kicking back on you, is what that is.
No, literally. I feel like my feet are on fire. So that's why, I don't really go. Maybe one time I'll go, just, show of appreciation. Because I think it would be nice.
Right. I kind of wish Judy Baker didn't pull her piece off of SoundCloud. I'd probably play it tonight.
I think that's hysterical.
It was real bad.
She's watching you.
Did you even get to hear it?
No. I didn't know anything about it.
Well, it was pretty funny because it was like what happened is Judith Berry Baker, who's a BS artist in the JFK community, claims to be Oswald's girlfriend and all that. She just has a SoundCloud account. I don't know why, but she put up herself singing along with a Casio, the refrain to, in the house of the rising sun, right? And, I can't sing it right, but for God's sake, this was abominable. And, she posted it with a comment like, oh, I tried to make it sound like I was drunk. And it's like, no, you just suck. And that was the best you could do, and that's pretty awful. And most of your sycophantic followers who think that, you're some sort of Rosetta Stone for everything in the 60s.
Yikes.
Well, I was connected to the Castro plots. I knew mob people. I knew senators. I knew Lee Harvey Oswald. I slept with him.
But what's amazing to me is that people like that have a strong following.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, if you tell idiots what they want to hear, they're more than happy to follow you. If you make an idiot happy, they'll do things for you.
And they give her money.
Yeah, if you make an idiot happy, they'll do things for you.
Didn't they give her enough money to hire like security or something for the hotel?
They're always funding her for stuff. It's hysterical. But like I said, if you go to a bunch of children and you tell them Santa Claus is real and you know him personally, they might give you stuff to try and be nice to you. It's just the way it works. But anyway,
how old is she?
Well, look at it this way: if she was, 19 or whatever when she meets Lee Harvey Oswald, and Oswald died in '63.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do a little math here. She's 70-something years old.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
And she's been riding this?
Since like 99, she's been riding this. She only appeared in 1999 or so.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So she puts up, in the house of the rising sun. Really, I can't even begin to even attempt to mockingly sing it. It was so bad. And it's hysterical with the shitty Casio and everything behind it, right? And it's posted on SoundCloud. So I take this thing, and I post a link to it on the couple of Facebook groups, the JFK Venter group, and I forget where else. The Trolls, Frauds, and Hucksters group in the JFK. Trolls, Frauds, and Hucksters in the JFK assassination group. Mm-hmm. And I was getting ready to post it some other places, and all of a sudden I see somebody say it's been taken down. So I went there to see that, it's been removed by the owner, which means that the moment I started posting it, she pulled it.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty damn funny. This is the one who claims that I was doing something illegal by posting links for my show in Facebook groups.
Well, that's a show. That's a site that she's the admin of or something.
Yeah, they made her an admin, and then I'm illegally posting.
Oh, please, then make it a private group, then, dumbass.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what other people said to her, but anyway, she. But that's pretty funny to me. Is that I've got enough of her attention that she needs to follow what I'm doing on Facebook, but not make friends with me or anything.
Well, she won't come on and talk to you on the radio.
No, she won't face me because I've already said this, that I have 5 questions that I have told no one. I revealed one the other night, so I have to replace it now. But I have 5 questions in mind that would either, if she answers them correctly, I would change my entire viewpoint on it. But I know she won't.
No stutter stepping either.
No, not at all. But you know what?
No, she can't stutter step or whatever.
No, she can't answer it. She cannot validly answer these 5 questions. So I would love to have a recording of her trying to. Because it would be the one best piece of tape to end this whole idiocy. And you know what? If she just came out and said what I wrote was a piece of historically based fiction, and, I've been a bullshit artist, I would have the utmost respect for her.
Right.
Like if Jim Fetzer turned around and said, you know what, I've actually been acting for the past 10 years trying to show you guys what it would be like if somebody went completely insane. I would say, Bravo, brother, and I would begin to support Uncle Fester there.
Well, I think that debate between Jack Blood and him was really pretty good.
Well, all it really illustrated though was this technique that he uses to, and that was over Sandy Hook, by the way.
Right, right.
But so it wasn't on the JFK thing. It was kind of funny because all Fetzer does is throw 80 things at you when you got 2 minutes to answer it. So he rapid fire throws so many things at you so that there's no human way possible to answer that question with a constricted time. And then, when you can't do it, he turns around and says, well, you didn't answer the real questions.
Well, in that case, then you pick out what you think is most important, and then...
Well, the moderator needs to control it.
And then tell him the other questions were just bullshit. So I weeded through the bullshit and found the 5 or so that I found to be legitimate.
Well, good call. Well, good call, because that's what Jack Blood was doing.
Oh, see?
But really, that's what he did. And by the way, I'll be on Jack Blood's Bitter Man show next Friday.
Oh, yeah. I think that's
on
cool.
Radio Free Blood.
I think it's cool as hell that he played with Chris Cornell.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but Jack was actually intimately involved in the Seattle scene that you appreciate.
See?
Knew those guys.
I have to become his friend on Facebook.
Well, you can ask him.
Well, that's true. He might say no.
Now that you've actually changed your name to Ochelli, you might know who you are.
Yeah. I just never bothered to do it.
It's okay.
It's only Facebook, for fuck's sake.
I don't care. I'm just saying.
Quite frankly, neither do I.
Then when you say that, you're my wife and you don't have my last name, it looks odd, that's all. So, the thing is that that'll be fun anyway. They'll be on Jack's show.
What time is that?
I forget. I think it's like 4 in the afternoon.
Is it?
On Friday, yeah.
For an hour or two.
I think he's got me slated for. I think that the Bitter Man Club is like, an hour, because he just had JJ on this past week.
Yeah, I heard you listening to that.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. I was in there, and I went over to his site, and I was chatting away in his chat room, and he kind of made a joke, which threw JJ, which I thought was kind of funny, because he all of a sudden started going, yeah, I got canceled at UCY, and you guys all suck, and Chuck Ochelli, I helped him get his show, and now he doesn't even want to talk to me. I'm not good enough to be on the Chuck Ochelli show. And
that's funny.
Which is hysterical, because personally, I've asked Jack several times, and he's never got time for me.
Well, he's come on.
He's been on. Yeah, he came on as a guest, proper once, and another time simulcast the thing with me and Maria.
That was a good show.
No, that was definitely
a good Maria show. A lot.
No, I love Maria. Apparently, though, I think he is actually at odds with her right now, which ought to be an interesting piece of the conversation.
Oh.
And, and I actually do stuff outside of this show, too, and my show. I'll also be on American Freedom Radio on Tuesday night after I'm done doing my thing here, substituting for Vinny Eastwood. That night I'm going to have Rebecca Roth on.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, 10 p.m. Eastern. So, and everybody seemed to like the interview I did with her here. Except,
that was a good one. Every time I watch, when I go on the YouTube and I hit up the 9/11, documentary playlist, I watch, a lot of them a few times.
Right.
And it's like you pick up something different that, you may have missed the first two.
Yeah, in the really good films,
I like Loose Change.
Well, yeah, because that's well done. First of all, I mean, a couple of pieces of information are a little, what do you want to say? They're a couple of pieces of information are slightly ill-informed, but and some of that is actually speculation. People try and nail it down, like it's like, oh, he says this, and really, if you listen to it, he's speculating. But people don't seem to understand the nuances of the English language sometimes.
But
I digress.
A lot of things are speculation because,
Well, yeah, if you're not actually, if you're hiding all the real evidence and you've destroyed most of it, I mean, you do wind up with a lot of speculation on your hands. I mean, any of these deep political situations where you see, an event that occurs that people want to investigate, quite often you find, loads and loads of evidence tampering and, and the disappearance of relevant things. I mean, it's just the way it goes.
Right.
And that's everything from, the murder of Medgar Evers, onto, RFK's assassination, the bombing in Oklahoma City, all of it. You find evidence disappeared and distorted by mishandling constantly.
Right. Speaking of Robert Kennedy, I tell you, I have a lot of respect for his son, who's the one against vaccines.
Yeah, see, yes and no with him, because, I want to like him.
Yeah.
And not because I'm some Kennedy worshiper either. People seem to misunderstand that about me. I just want an accurate portrait.
Well,
when people start screaming that, well, they were all, just part of the elite, and they were womanizers, and they were all pieces of crap. And
I'm sorry, Nate, tell me a politician that doesn't
don't tell me
screw a woman on the side and try to get away with it.
Tell me a powerful man that ain't banging somebody. You know what I mean? A powerful man, it's a prerequisite. You know that what will be absolutely akin to their power, their standing, is that women throw themselves at them. And, listen, guys, let's be honest, guys or girls, enough are thrown at you.
Eventually, you got a nice pick of the litter there, and you can, Marilyn Monroe's throwing herself around. What man wouldn't want to have a spell with her?
Well, there you go. And, and despite the fact that there's some reality to the whole JFK banging Marilyn Monroe thing, it did happen.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't happen as often as everybody thinks. A lot of the dates and times where they say, there's clear Secret Service records showing that there's no way that Marilyn could have got near him at the time, regardless of wink, wink, let her in and all that. It just wasn't happening. But so people exaggerate a lot of what happened.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Jane's probably right with Jimmy Carter.
Well, you see, here's the funny thing is that with Jimmy Carter, not necessarily true. You can find people that'll state that he was involved in things too.
But is it true?
But is it true? Right. That's the thing is you got to take away a lot of that stuff. And really, honestly, you don't necessarily know.
Honestly, I don't really care who's banging who.
Yeah, but I've known guys who were, heads of mall security that had, fully blown out multiple families chilling out. You know what I'm saying? Just because they were making good money, and
mall security,
in the particular head of mall, even head of mall maintenance.
Really?
I
shit you not.
I had somebody who I won't identify on the air who was part of my life, let's just say, who had...
Is it a secret?
Kind of, sort of, so I don't want to,
Can you tell me later?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you off the air.
All right.
But the thing is, this person I knew really well. I knew him ever since I was a kid, all that kind of good stuff. And what they had was a wife with a couple of kids and all that in the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their mother and their girlfriend lived in little bungalows near each other in like the next town over.
Oh.
So
did
grandma
the wife know about?
It was known. Yeah, it was known.
Oh.
She was pissed, but it was known. So grandma would have to sit there and see her son with, girlfriend and kid, and then see her son with wife and kids. And it was funny because you couldn't actually mention the wife around the girlfriend or the girlfriend around the wife.
That's got to be exhausting.
Yeah, it's weird. And even say Christmas would come around.
How do you pull that off?
And, well, it's because Italians, they do celebrations and stages. So you got your Christmas Eve.
Oh.
Christmas Eve is for the girlfriend, and Christmas Day is for the wife.
Oh, I see how that goes. What about Thanksgiving? You got to eat 2 meals? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit.
Or, you do it the short way and tell the wife that you got to work, and then you go to the girlfriend's house.
Well, why does the wife come second?
Well, generally speaking, you know, the girlfriend is probably slightly newer stock and probably a little more exciting to be around. Now, you're wondering why I'm so flippant about this.
Wow.
It's because this is also something that happens in a lot of cases with even slightly important, stable, or financially successful Italian men. In a lot of cases, this occurs. So,
Well, the guy, I remember I was looking for him on Facebook. He was Greek. When I was 19.
oh, is that the guy that's all friendly with you now?
No, oh, hell no.
Because there's that one guy that's real friendly with you on messages now, and like, oh, gee, it's been 20 years since I talked to you, and
I haven't talked to him since.
oh, okay, I don't know. I thought maybe it was the same guy because he struck me as Greek or Italian or something.
Artiglaire.
Yeah, something Greek. Greek would be right, but
No, it was
just
that
looked
guy.
Mediterranean to me in some way.
Oh, what was his name now?
I don't care. You don't even have to go into his name. But the thing is, this kind of thing is sort of a cultural deal. That's why, you know, the whole legendary thing, and people used to argue about it on The Sopranos about, you know, what goes on with a, you know, a mob boss, how he's got his guma, and then he's got his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, you wind up with, you know, usually the girlfriend doesn't wind up settled down with the whole family, but occasionally it happens. You know, it's going to happen.
Right.
But this is almost typical. In fact, kind of culturally expected. Although, you know, they're Catholic and they're supposed to be faithful to their wives and everything else, the truth of the culture, as opposed to the surface culture, is that if you're a powerful and successful man, and in fact, if you're in the mob and you don't, and you're like a boss or you're an underboss and you're a big man and you don't have that going on, they start questioning exactly how much weight you really carry. You know, maybe you're full of shit about exactly how powerful you are or how much money you really make, because, you know, you should at least have a couple women on the side because you got at least control of that.
Right.
You know, you can't control your bitch. How are you going to control a city? Basically. So this is part of the mentality.
That's true. I can see that.
You know.
Yeah.
But no, I've known people like this, and it's kind of funny. How did I get started on this subject?
We were talking about politicians and Jimmy Carter and.
Oh yeah, so but right back to it is that powerful men or famous men, you know, and women as well, although it's usually more discreet, you know, for various reasons.
Right.
They always have, you know, a gaggle of individuals who are like, you know, do what you want to me. I just want to be near you. You know, if you piss on me, I'm happy. You know, kind of, they have a following like that. That's what happens when you got fame, fortune, or both.
Well, the one that cracked me up out loud was that one from New York.
What, Spitzer?
No, well, yeah, him too, but Wiener.
That was silliness. It's like, you know,
he's taking pictures of himself in his mighty whities.
Taking crotch shots again. And why do you got to lose your job as a politician because you're taking crotch shots? Really? I mean, if it didn't interfere with his job.
Well, he didn't. I thought he resigned. You know, don't they mostly resign because they're.
Well, they usually resign so that they're not brought up on ethics and their whole. They become useless. See, that's the counterpoint to this is that if you wind up involved in litigation and public crap regarding your sex life and how you behave and everything else, it's not only the fact that you're tainted from a moral standpoint, but now you're less effective at your job. You know, okay, we'll draw a scenario real quick. Imagine, God help us all, I'm President of the United States.
You wouldn't want me to be the First Lady? That would be a disaster.
Yeah, well, you know.
That makes me laugh just thinking about it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, imagine the domestic disturbance call to the White House. Okay, now.
Hey.
Here's
That's not fair. That makes it sound like the police come here because we fight.
No, neither one of us is dumb enough to call the cops. But at the White House, Anyway.
That wasn't my point, but go on.
So, back to it. If I was the president of the United States, okay, and I'm in the midst of doing my job, and we imagine for a moment that the president of the United States actually has a real job to do at this point, and you think about that, and now I am embroiled in two secretaries saying that I sexually harassed them, and one of them claiming to be carrying my love child. Okay, or claiming to have given birth to my love child, and she's a former employee, so now I'm a sexual predator, a la Clinton. Okay. Here's the thing. Not only do I have the taint on me of I'm a sexual predator, therefore women's groups can be angry at me. It invalidates my public statements to the people. The press is constantly going to hound me about this. But also now I am involved in having to spend significant portions of my day, my time, my efforts into defending myself or having blood tests done, making public statements because the family of the woman who gave birth to my love child is speaking out, having to counter and deal with damage control and et cetera, et cetera. It literally hinders my job.
Well, that's why they just resigned.
Well, yeah, but whether the allegation is true or not, in some cases, it's wiser to resign once you're wrapped up in that kind of thing. You know what I mean? And to me, some of these guys do resign not because they're necessarily guilty, or even if they are guilty, big fucking deal. All right?
Well, that's kind of my thought about it.
Like, realistically, Wiener taking pictures of his wiener, that's funny, but...
Well, because it's just more on a...
But either way,
that's not much to look at.
Whatever. The funny thing is that, to me, the guy, I'm surprised anybody ever took him seriously just because his name was Wiener. But the thing is, what really, what's the big deal?
I don't think there is.
If it didn't interfere with his job, the allegation, the trouble that came of it, the BS, interfered with his job more than what he did. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes that stuff is done by design, though,
I'm sure it is.
Like, when I saw Petraeus have to resign after the whole, thing with him banging his biographer or whatever she was.
He told her secrets or something.
Yeah, but whatever, BS.
Right.
The fact is, somebody wanted him out of there, so they called him out. The majority of these guys who have power, who are in these positions, have something going on or dirty in some way anyway. It's just who gets actually called out. And sometimes it's not they got called out, because they got a disgruntled lover, they got an angry mother, they got an upset husband because the woman was married. In a lot of cases, it's not that. It's really somebody who chooses, to be their political adversary, whether in the real game of politics or in the BS stage show they put on for the rest of us, one way or the other. And that's really what gets somebody like him canned. The fact that he was the author of The Surge and totally involved in the debacle in Iraq, which is still continuing to evolve. The fact that he probably was an inept guy as a, if the CIA was even meant to be anything regarding a serviceable agency for our government, he was completely inept in that. That's not a big deal. And I don't even know what this guy's military, bona fides really were. Okay, I know the first time I ever heard of him was that, and I found it funny that, his name rhymed with Betrayus, Betrayus. So, what good, was that? Was that really a significant thing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I read somewhere, though, that somebody pointed out that he got more jail time than...
Petraeus? No, not
Petraeus.
Petraeus. No, Petraeus didn't go to jail.
He didn't. Oh, no, he didn't. That's right.
I think you're mixing up. See, you get overwhelmed with some of this stuff, and it's my fault. Because
some of it's confusing.
No, I pile on.
I only take in what I want to take in. The other stuff I throw in the garbage.
But isn't that true for everybody, really,
Pretty much. Can you go get me one of those aspirins, please? I have a headache.
Yeah, I can do that.
That would be nice. Um, but what I would like to see, and it'll never happen because we could never. I'll just bullshit for a few minutes.
Oh, yeah, what time is it anyway?
11:21.
Boy, this show has seemed to have gone on pretty long tonight, huh?
Did, yeah.
You notice I just don't have the
I don't either.
enthusiasm for it. But, hey, if somebody
I
else
don't.
wants to call in and say something about something, go right ahead. 718-717-8296. And there you go. So
Where was I going?
I have no idea. Why don't you talk about the dog?
No, not right now. I know one time when I think the gas prices were skyrocketing in the little town that Chuck and I lived in. We tried to get people to not buy gas.
Yeah. Nothing. Don't worry about that. I just noticed
sorry.
a
Okay.
pointless Skype that has nothing to do with the broadcast.
Oh.
Because we can't, just forget.
Okay. What was I saying? Oh, we tried to get people to boycott the gas stations for one day a week to kind of send a message, but nobody bothered to do that. What I think would be great is if we could get a whole bunch of people to just not go to the polls on election day, and maybe send a message that way. But ultimately, I guess that wouldn't work either because they're going to pick their own winner anyway, like they always do. So I guess that's probably not even a good idea. But it would be nice to see a nice group of people get together. Not nice people. I don't care if you're nice or not, but a substantial amount of people get together and somehow make a point. What's going on here? Hold on a minute.
Should be back.
I'm sorry. I messed up answering the phones.
Accidentally put the call on hold.
I apologize for that. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, you can't answer the phone.
I don't know how to do that.
No, you don't answer the phone. You got to actually hit the little gray button that says join in.
I know you told me that before. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Is that a message from Jules?
Yeah, that's how I knew we were off air. She
Oh, you didn't
Skyped
see the thing. Okay.
and said that we went off air.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yes, Jules, I answered it by mistake.
Yes, she answered the call instead of joining it.
I'm sorry. That's why you're usually sitting here, because I don't know how to do that. Thanks, guys, for letting me know we're back.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Sorry. I'm not used to doing all this other stuff over here. Usually I'm in that chair over there and you're handling it for me.
Yeah, well,
I know you're not feeling good. I'm sorry to drag you on my show.
Happens.
But if it was just me, I wouldn't have much to talk about.
No, you got plenty to talk about. Like I said, talk about the dog.
What do I have to talk about? Oh, well, she might be pregnant. That's a great story. I'm going to have probably pit bull / golden retriever Jack Martin puppies.
Yeah, well, tell them about, well, ask them, you know what, because I'm not familiar with this. I never had female dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you ask them about how it is you tell if a female dog is pregnant, because I don't even know, except you saw something interesting and observed some other things
Well,
too.
I'm
So,
not talking about that on the radio. I just noticed that.
well, you could figure out a way to discuss it without being completely out of hand. You could
Well,
just
it
say
looked
what you
like
caught.
she had been violated. How's that?
That's one way to put it.
But I don't know, because again, like my older dog, she's been uh,
She's fixed.
she's been neutered or spayed, whatever they do to females. I don't know, but yeah. So if anybody wants a puppy, let me know.
Yeah, Pitbull, Jack Martin, and Golden Retriever mix.
Yeah,
Looks like.
she's a sweet girl though to the baby. She she almost like I swear it's like an instinctual thing with her being a female, and she's just sweet tempered. But like Francis runs around now. He doesn't just walk. He picks up speed and hauls ass through the house, and he'll go running into his bedroom, and Alice will go and like block him from hitting the wall because he's running too fast. And when he does fall, he just like kind of crash lands onto her, and she doesn't get mad at him. Nothing. She's sweet, but the older one, I gotta be careful because she's getting old and a little bit snippy. You know, he by accident pulls on her ear or something like that. But anyway, if there's any news stories you guys want to talk about in the chat room, drop it in the chat and I'll discuss it. I was listening to Jules' show on Friday about the robotic insects. That's scary to me. Not only do I not like bugs, but now we're going to have a remote control bug that's going to be watching me in my kitchen on the counter. Now I wonder what happens if you smash a bug like that. Does like a what comes out of it if you smash it? That would be kind of weird. But what are you doing? Hold on. I had to put my headphones on. Hello? 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 What are you doing? I'm hanging up the phone. Anyway, I was talking about Jules' show and the robotic bugs, and I just asked what would come out of it if they got it remote controlled. Do you see like this little piece of electronic? Like I'm sure they're doing it with like beetles and cockroaches. Am I on the air still?
Jules was talking about.
Oh yeah,
You
okay.
should be all right. Jules was talking about what do you call it? Artificial beetles the other day.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. I was listening to her on Friday, and that's just wrong.
Yeah, well.
And then also with the I have to when I was in college and I took sociology for one of my that was my
your minor.
Yeah. Psychology was my major, but thank you, Jane and Jules, because I answered the phone again, and I did it right this time.
Yeah, you just gotta hit the gray button.
But we were having a conversation or a discussion in the class with a professor about why is it that there's so much suicide in the. I think I brought this up once before, but it's pertaining to what Jules was talking about. That there's so much suicide in the middle class as opposed to the, higher income status and lower income status. And I do believe that people who are in a lower income bracket do get sick more. Because they're worrying about so much stuff that somebody with not even a lot of money, but somebody that's comfortable and has the ability to pay the bills and not worry, what's going to be paid and what's not going to be paid, and is the family going to eat this week or not eat, or...
Yeah, well, there's something too relaxing.
Right. So, that I don't think that people without money are less of a person than somebody with money, but I can see where, it creates more stress, which, creates illness because you are um, sick, so
Mm.
all the time from worrying and anxiety. That does a lot to the body, the stress.
Well, right. There's lots of residual effects. I mean, everything from the basics to, the basics of like high blood pressure and all that. Plus, your diet is, of course, made up of more crap. When you're on the go and trying to keep yourself maintained in that, in that lower middle class status, especially because, you're afraid of being poor and constantly thinking that you can be rich. So, you got to keep go, go, go. And a lot of times people are tired from their jobs and whatnot. So they wind
Well,
up
I
picking
do
up
have
fast
a,
food and
a question. You know how if you go to the supermarket, which I would like to start going to the farmers market now that it's getting warmer and there's more variety of
yeah, but we got to figure out how far away it is now because
well, yeah, but that's besides the point. But when you go to the grocery store and they have a section that says organic and it's more expensive,
yeah.
how do you really know that that's organic?
Well,
You don't. They just
that's
slapped a label on it and said organic and charged you $4 more.
yeah. And for those that think that they're going to get punished for putting organic labels on things that aren't, guess again. It's because people think, oh, false advertising, that's a big deal. Good luck. Everything is falsely advertised in this country at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just the way it
They
is.
do have the one neat thing that I did find down south here that they don't have up north is obviously there's a lot more uh, farms, but there's like a co-op program in one of the farms that's not too far from us
Hmm.
that you pay a membership fee one time. I think it's either $35 or $50. I don't recall because I looked at it last year.
Yeah, and then every month you pay, but because of the fact that your money is being added into a bigger collective, your larger purchasing power translates to cheaper stuff that's farm fresh.
Right.
That's yeah. I actually got into one of those in Neptune, believe it or not, because it just made more sense. I would pay like $20. You didn't get to pick what you got though. That was the thing. Whatever it was that they paid the farmers to do or whatever they
Well,
like
this is the actual farm.
yeah, but but it's the same basic principle. It's just that
Mm.
the farm is running it as opposed to, and you don't know
A
for certain that
middleman.
it's not more than one farm coming to them or whatever, because a lot of these farmers around here are kind of trapped, so so it's a win-win because they create a cheaper way for you to get something farm fresh, and and you get better food.
Right.
And because of the larger collective purchasing power, this is why cooperation is a good way to go when it comes to issues like that.
Yeah, I wanted to try it because you get,
No, certainly,
there
yeah.
is definitely a difference in an egg from like a I don't want to say a pet chicken, but people who have chickens
Well, can I
and
ask you something? Have you been just learning, this kind of stuff since you've been around me, or were you always sort of aware of the food situation? Because
well, I'm more educated on it since we've been together.
hmm
But, I did notice, for instance, when I would go to I hate to say it out loud, the Walmart and
hmm
get buy meat there.
look, nobody is listening to the sound of our voice that hasn't been to a Wally Mart. So be the
Well,
first to cast the first stone,
all right.
douche.
I'll take my
Yeah, I
I'll take
mean
my lashing.
that's all
But
there is to it.
you look at the you look at the chicken breasts, and I would say to myself, "Holy shit, this looks like a small turkey. There's no chicken that's that big."
Oh yeah, yeah. No, we've talked about that, and
Right.
that's about the hormones and how they jack these things up and
Right.
keep them in a box and all kinds of weird stuff
Right.
they do. Yeah.
Those kind of things I noticed, but honestly, I became much more involved with the the more natural foods, and since we found out I was pregnant with Francis, because I didn't want him eating all this shit that's bad for him.
Well, yeah, and that's not even exactly true either, because, I mean, we did eat a lot of takeout food when you were pregnant with him.
Well, no, not for me, for when he was born.
Oh, no, but I thought you said when you were pregnant with him.
That's when I started for him when he was born, after he was born, because, I can't help it if I wanted olives.
No, I got confused, because I thought you meant that, you started eating better because you were feeding him.
Oh, no, I ate what I wanted.
Yeah,
olives.
I'm aware of that.
And,
well, olives was only a little while.
Really, that was really the only...
the green olives, and then, no, there was something else. I just can't really recall what it was.
Me either, but those Italian
craving.
subs were really good.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with an Italian sub.
But that's when I started. Doing more research about how to feed him healthier than our older children.
Oh, no, of course. The whole thing, we talked about with, actually processing the food ourselves, and, and not going through and getting all the God knows what the hell is in the cereals, and God knows what the hell is in these other alleged snacks that they create for them.
Right.
We haven't kept them away from everything. Because, my contention is that, he's going to have to live in the rest of the world, and I don't expect the rest of the world to be eating organic by the time he's old enough to go and have listeners, that's a funny slip, to go and have friends to eat with and stuff. What's the matter?
Good night, Liza.
Oh.
Anyway,
Okay.
we did do, I obviously don't follow doctor's orders because I'm not new to raising kids.
Yeah, and no doctor's orders for Francis anyway.
Right. But they tell you, they can't have cereal till they're 6 months old and blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sorry. He was eating cereal as soon as he was able to swallow it properly.
Mm-hmm.
But when I had made the sweet potatoes, I put them in that, NutriBullet thing that I have for my special drinks with spinach and whatnot in it.
Mm-hmm.
He loved that. And there's nothing he loves, which I'm very happy about, that he's not, a lot of parents just throw their kid, here's, a handful of cookies, go sit down and be quiet. He loves fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Bananas, strawberries, although he did throw up from the strawberries, I think, because he didn't chew them good enough. But
well, I don't know. That was a little odd, because they came up, sliced exactly the way that you gave them to him. So
right.
I was like, well.
But he's never had an adversity to any.
No,
any
strawberries
food.
are a little difficult to break down, and I mean, sometimes we got to pull back a little bit because we don't want to give him stuff that's too rough. Because although we don't know it right now, we could be, screwing with his very tender, bowels.
Right.
And so we're thought out about this stuff. I mean,
he eats almost any vegetable. He loves broccoli and cauliflower, and
to
me that's great, because as they get older, for their snack they can have some cut up green peppers and red peppers. And,
once he's got the rest of his teeth in, more than happy.
Yeah, Jules, that's what I was concerned about. Maybe he was allergic to them, so I didn't give him any more. But he eats, for breakfast. A kid eats like a little 5-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
He eats 2 scrambled eggs, not every day, because that's not good for him, but he'll eat 2 scrambled eggs and a banana for breakfast.
Yeah, right. And, what do you call it?
He loves grapes.
Yeah, he loves the grapes, but see, the grapes will, that's why I say,
they don't really get digested very well.
They don't get digested super well, so, I mean, it's one of those things where we got to kind of balance it back and forth.
Right. Well, I'm trying to be careful, but I want him to be more... I want him to...
You want to have him have diverse stuff in his diet, is what it is, so that he's not just hung up on, I want everything with sugar in it, or I want, everything that's, all bread and all cheese or anything like that, which, some of these kids fall into these ruts.
Yeah, 8 Hawks, I'm definitely going to try peaches. He loves pears. He's
good with the pears.
It's just... But my point is, if there's I want to try to steer him to eat. Um, if there's a plate, which I love Oreos.
Yeah, but we've been a little lackadaisical about the raw vegetables. We haven't really got to those, but you know what the problem is? That the stuff that they sell around here, a lot of it's a little too tough
Well, no, he's
for him
too
to
little
chew
to eat.
yet.
I'm saying when he's 5 or 6 or 7, and
Yeah, but we got to. That's the thing. We got to start steaming some of those other things. I think but it's a process. I mean, we're not perfect at this, and he's gotten some cookies. Like I said to somebody, talked about wanting to buy him something one time. What does he like? And I said, if you want to make a donation and just put in the message, cookies for Frankie, I'll go buy the cookies that you tell me to buy. You know,
oh, that's nice.
yeah. I mean, that was one of the things. So he got a bag of cookies. I forget who that was exactly, but you know.
That was very nice. Well,
Um,
whoever you were, thank you.
Yeah, and anybody who wants, by the way, anybody who does want to donate, of course, it's at the ucy.tv/TOE page. Which any and all help is appreciated, and especially because we're going to need a little bit of help with Kim's legal defense. So, let's keep
Well,
that in mind.
if I got to do my time, which
Well, then that means like I said on a previous show, I just guess I'll
there'll
be hosting.
well, have to be something filling my
Something will fill your
time slot.
spot. Either I'll do the show myself, or I don't know if replays of this would work, but what the hell?
Yeah,
Something.
and Hopper got him. I've said this before on the air that
Oh no,
to
Hopper got
me,
him something, but it's just not in his hands yet.
right?
And,
It it makes me, I don't even know what word to use because I'm really very tired. But these people have never met us. They only know Francis through stories and maybe pictures that they've seen on our Facebook or whatever.
well, yeah, and he started out co-hosting with me the one
Right.
Tuesday night.
And Hopper got him a rocking. It's not a rocking horse. It's a rocking Harley Davidson, which I think is really cool because Francis, I got him that onesie that says, I wasn't born to stroll, I was born to ride, and it's a Harley Davidson
Yeah, and
motorcycle
then definitely we're going to teach him how to ride and all that kind of stuff. And my favorite onesies for him so far have been Chicks Dig Me
Yeah, and
with little chicks on it.
Yeah, little like baby chicks.
And the other one is the Superman logo.
Yeah.
I like the Superman logo. Plus, it's the first time I saw him dance. Excuse me.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Baconator, you're pretty funny. Trampoline business has its ups and downs.
It sure does. The other onesie was the Superman onesie, which just it looks like just the with the S on his chest and all that. And he started when he couldn't even walk yet, and he was in a little bouncy chair, and he was pumping his fist to "Bulls on Parade" by Rage Against the Machine. That's the first time I saw him dance to music.
He was dancing all over the place today, clapping his hands.
Yeah, I know, and I tried to post a video of that, and we don't have it. It didn't come up. We got to repost.
Something on the mobile phone. It just failed.
That's because the alleged mobile phone now just functions as a sort of tablet because I couldn't afford to keep it connected, so I don't have it. But the camera still works, and I was trying to put up the video on your page of him kind of dancing around. Actually, a couple of things. He was running around to Motorhead.
And my intro.
And well, that one I was going to try and hold and surprise everybody with.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oops, you didn't hear that.
That he was dancing around to your intro because I was going to try and put a little Jaded thing on it and be like, look, Kim's new video promo.
What was the song that he was clapping his hands to? It was a Rage song.
Oh yeah, he always claps his hands to wake up.
That's the song.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's walking around the house in the living room, clapping his hands.
Yeah, because he likes Rage Against the Machine.
He likes all music.
He does.
I know people probably don't want to hear any more stories about my son and our son, but you know what?
Well, you know what?
I ran out of topics to discuss.
Exactly.
I didn't follow the news this week.
We're kind of out of gas here on a Saturday night, and
I didn't prepare completely. I had a few stories that I wanted to talk about, like the Amtrak and the vaccines first thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it
Yes.
just you know it.
Especially that girl that's got a cop and attitude like, "How dare you? My autistic son has a light in his eyes."
Well,
Okay.
I don't say anything. I don't think I'm an. I don't try to offend anybody on purpose, and I don't try to.
Yeah, but huh, you're going through a long explanation over. See, this is the thing. You wind up investing your time in the response from a moron. And this is what happens is sometimes when you say things or you make a statement or you're trying to explain or educate somebody in some way or encourage a good idea.
But she attacked me, so I
Yeah,
had to go back at it a little bit. I wasn't nasty. I said to her, "I'm
yeah, but let
sorry."
me finish. When you engage with morons, okay, who don't have an understanding of what you're talking about, all right, and just are bored by the fact that you're using big words or you're making concepts that are, a little bit too above. They don't understand what you're talking about in the first place, okay? And therefore, they go at you because of their own ignorance. You weren't telling this lady that, gee, there's no light in your autistic kid's eyes. You were just making a statement about your child.
Right, and then I went in to tell her that.
She chose to take a defensive posture based on her ignorant interpretation of what you were saying. It's just like that little meme I like to post on Facebook every once in a while.
Which one?
English, do you speak it, motherfucker?
Oh, I like the one that I just have that says "fuck it."
No, the one I'm talking about is quoting from Samuel L. Jackson in the movie Pulp Fiction when he's sitting there with the gun, and he goes, "What?
Oh
Is what
yeah.
a country? I never heard of what? What language do they speak in what? Do they speak English in what?
Oh, speaking of
What?
that,
Say what again, motherfucker? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you."
I can't stand when I have to go see a doctor and they don't. They're in this country and they don't speak English, and I have to continually say "excuse me." What's the acceptable times of saying "excuse me" before you finally say "look"? I don't understand what you're saying to me. How many times is being polite considered being polite? 4, 5.
Mm. I no, I understand
You know,
that. The trouble is, of course, when you don't have, if you live in a really good area, you notice the quality of, English is better from a doctor in another area.
and here.
What's that?
You mean here?
No, I'm saying no, in another area, it's
Oh,
better.
well, I know. I was referring to that. It's not a good area here.
No, it's not. It is certainly not the best area, but
You know.
the the reality is if you live in a better neighborhood and you can afford the better class of health care, even if you do deal with a foreign doctor, they can usually speak English better. So there it is. And I told you the story. I once had when I was managing gas stations, I once had a guy who was pumping gas for me at like $5 an hour, who was, actually a high class pediatrician in his own country.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, like in Pakistan, he would have been a baby doctor.
Damn.
You
I
know,
think Hopper just put the number 1 up as if to say, 1 for English.
yeah, press 1 for English. That's
And you press 1 for English, and if you go to talk to somebody, they don't even speak it.
yeah,
What's up
that
with
is
that?
a fun thing to examine. Is sometimes when you press 1 for English, you may be intending to speak English, but you know, you feel like using that meme from Pulp Fiction, like I said, English. Do you speak it, motherfucker?
No doubt.
Because he goes, do they speak English and what? And he goes, what? English. What? English. Do you speak it, motherfucker?
There's a few words
I do
that
love
people
that
say
movie.
that drives me nuts, like irregardless.
Yeah, I know.
That's not correct.
Yeah, well,
Like what?
you
Excuse me?
But like I said before, when you got people that absolutely cannot understand or absorb the concept you're putting forward, and they start, you know.
Well, she just took such offense to, like, I was personally attacking her child.
Right, because she was too dumb to understand the statement you were making. It was a positive statement on behalf of your child. It no way implied that there was a problem with hers. And the fact that hers was damaged doesn't mean that there was no light in their eyes, but you got to admit that it would be an altered light.
Well, yeah, and I was only talking from my own, and, from my own personal experience where I watched, and I hate to say, the light go out, but it kind of did with, my older son that was adopted. And then they were trying to tell him because, my one son and daughter are both black.
Yeah, but you see all the space that you're letting be rented in
No.
your head by the fact that somebody else could not interpret your statement.
No, I was just trying to fill up the last few minutes.
I understand,
right
but don't you find that extremely appalling when somebody, you spend your time and your energy to make a statement to somebody. You try and be educational, helpful, or just simply convey an interesting idea or thought. And basically, because of someone's inability or lack of desire to understand the English language properly, you get hit with, and we're not even talking about foreigners, and we're not even talking about people that have learning disabilities, but we're just talking about people that either choose to be ignorant.
Well, like take offense to something that, like for
Well,
her,
right,
for instance,
because she's looking to take offense.
It wasn't offensive.
But that's the thing.
I just think they're angry.
It's sort of like, yeah, but it's sort of like when you start having a racial discussion with somebody, and you say something, and you didn't even have an ugly racial connotation to it, because you simply said the word black, you're suddenly got somebody's back up. You know what I mean? It's always.
Well, that's the case where one, you can't please everybody,
Right.
and how else would I describe my children?
No, 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 no. I'm not saying I wasn't See, I'm not pointing it at you. What I'm saying is that in the case where you're trying to make a racial statement, and it's about, the real conditions of race or the subdivision or the divide and conquer concept or whatever else, and somebody simply thinks that because you're a white speaker and you've decided to make a comment about the racial situation, that all of a sudden this becomes making you racist or whatever, because it's a complete misinterpretation of what you're saying. Like if you turn around and you say, well, the fact is that many blacks were actually disadvantaged on purpose because it was sort of a situation where they were meant to be kept down, blah, 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 blah. If you make that statement, which is not a negative statement, no. You're actually speaking more about the mechanism, the financial industry, or the predatory things that do, payday loans or or the easy credit stuff that has ripped people off over the years, and how there has been a particular targeting of ethnic groups or particular financially set groups, right? Mm-hmm. You start making statements like that, and all of a sudden somebody flips back at you. Well, you think it's good for black people to be ripped off? And you go, that wasn't even close to the intent of my statement. I was simply talking about the condition. What was happening. I wasn't the one making it happen. And meanwhile, you wind up involved in an argument with somebody that you're not supposed to be in an argument with because they simply failed to understand or chose not to understand your initial statement. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, I understand. And again, it's all interpretation. And I think some people in general, like this particular woman who I don't even know who she is. I'm not friends with her. It was a post on a friend's feed. They always have their back up in the air because they're waiting for an attack, or they're ignorant, or both, or they're just angry. I don't know, and I don't choose to find an explanation for that type of behavior. Because to me, it's kind of pointless. But she just, yeah, she, it's not that I wasted time with her. I just went back with my response of, um, I wasn't looking to offend you. I'm just, speaking from my own personal observations.
Yeah, right.
That was my point. And first of all, I don't think I should have to defend anything I say. Really. I'm not I don't find that I'm an offensive, maybe sometimes I say the word fuck too many times, but I respect.
But
She
not
just came at
normally.
me wrong with it because she like quoted what I said and had my name in there and everything and basically insinuated that I said her kid was, lightless. And that wasn't.
But that isn't even what you said.
No, it isn't what I said,
That's
and that's
yeah.
my point is I shouldn't have to defend what I just said because you took what I said completely out of context and turned it around and made it into something that it wasn't even.
Mm.
It wasn't an attack on anybody's children. I don't do that.
Yeah, and Jules, when I first changed my bumper music, that was another fun thing on YouTube. Is immediately somebody commented on the one that I put over on my channel. They said, I give you an A+ for your interview and an F for your music, or if that's what it's called, or
See,
something
now
like that.
that to me generates a giant fuck you
Yeah, well,
in capital letters and permanent red marker. You know what?
Yep.
The problem is everybody's got a fucking opinion, just like an asshole. Everybody's got one, and you know what? Just respect the opinions of other people. And I think things would go far smoother in any conversation, whether it's vaccines, what grocery store you go to
Oh, I know.
religion, to just
How much time we got left here?
2 minutes. So
2 minutes.
I guess I should say, I hope everybody has a nice week coming up. Oh, Jules likes your bumper. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool too.
I think it's just obnoxious enough to fit me. Perfect. And I'll tell you something else real quick. The one who said, thank you very much for your input and kindly go fuck a cactus. Well, you know what? That's good, but my favorite, of course, is I do appreciate your opinions, and in exchange for them, I will gladly send you instructions of how to insert your fist in.